Hey everyone, it's Undergrad Steve and welcome to the v14 review video. I'm really excited to talk to you about Act 4 Part 1, to talk to you about what's coming in the future in terms of the next update and also our other plans, and just give you insights on the development like I usually do. So yeah, let's just get started. So v14, or as you guys know, is Act 4 Part 1, which is the 14th update we've ever done. So if you're wondering, wait, but Act 1 didn't really have parts. Well, Act 1 technically had 7 parts. It was V1 to V7 because they were much smaller. I mean, back then I released a part every 2 weeks and I did them all by myself. So Act 1 needed 7 parts to be almost as large as the other acts. But yeah, so internally we go by version numbers. So this one is V14. So that was, what an update, man. I mean, we had about a bit more than 7 weeks to make it, and we had some team changes, we had some internal problems as always, and, we had big aspirations because Act 4 kind of marked, a new start for us, and it was kind of like, okay, how can we push the boundaries of visual novels, and how can we push the boundaries of College Kings, and how can we make the game more engaging, more exciting? And, outside of CK, obviously, the launch is one of the ways we really want to do that, and our new website, but I'll get to that. But inside of CK, we really want to push interesting game mechanics. And we really want to be like, okay, what can we do that's actually exciting and isn't just, a mini game or something, but actually something that enriches the game. But while we were working on that, and you have to understand, the plot for V14 was probably laid out end of August, I want to say. No, maybe a bit later. Maybe start of September. Because we started working on it after the last update was out. So Act 3 Part 3 released on September 22nd. So the plot will have been done by September 22nd because we immediately began working on the next update. So it was done about 2 months before the update actually released. And you can imagine when we're doing so much with the planning boards and stuff, everything that we thought of there back in the plot in September, we were like, if this feels bad or this doesn't work, we're so screwed. Like it was very nerve-wracking because we had so many cool ideas, and we have even more cool ideas for the next update, but I'll get to that. But it's just like, oh my god, if the planning boards fail, or if people hate them, or what if this whole thing doesn't work? Yeah, so that was super scary to live with for 2 months, and just not being able. One thing I really like the monthly updates is because we get feedback so rapidly. And I don't know how the developers do it that takes 6 months. I'd be so scared to just oh, I've come up with this amazing idea. Let me see how people react to it freaking 6 months later. That's way too scary. I couldn't live with that. I want to see how you guys feel about stuff so we can alter it. But yeah, so we've been working on that and we've been chopping away at that. And then our writer decided to quit for personal reasons. And that was very unexpected to us and very much something we were like, oh no, I felt the writing for Act 3 was really good. And, obviously our editor also had a lot to do with it. But, the writer is the backbone of that. So having the writer quit, was kind of like, oh no, I don't have a replacement. I didn't expect this. I didn't prepare for this. So we went on a really strong hunt. And in Act 2, maybe, some of you guys don't know this, but in Act 2, we actually had immense writer turnover. Because our first writer quit, and then I could not, for the life of me, find someone else that was good enough to replace them. So we had a bunch of people that just weren't good enough, or weren't in the style, that we needed. And it's really hard coming into a game that's already been written a chunk, and then taking over that style. So yeah, it was really difficult. But we luckily, through a connection of mine, I found someone that was just phenomenal and an award-winning writer. And we were able to, get him on board. And now he and our editor are working together in great harmony. And I think the writing is really good for Act 4. And it's just getting better. I mean, you have to understand, Act 4 was still majorly written by our old writer. But a lot of it was our old writer not having the time due to the personal issues to really put their all into it. And they quit halfway through. So then we had to introduce the new writer and have him take over, and our editor kind of had to hold everything together, and she did a phenomenal job at that. But Act 4 Part 1 really isn't the best we can do in writing, I don't think. And I think it was good, and it was very good in writing, but it's far from what we can do. Once that writer gets fully worked in, and now once he gets a couple of updates under his belt, I think he's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So I'm really excited about that. Now, the other thing that happened to us was our animator had to quit, and, right before the update. So for the first month or something, we didn't actually have an animator. So for the entirety of September and for most of the first half of October, we didn't have an animator. And it was really scary because we had planned 6 sex scenes for this update. Of course we did. We were like, let's push the boundaries now that we have our amazing animator. The animator is like, actually, guys, I have some things to attend to and I cannot work with you anymore. And we're like, oh no. It was really horrible. So yeah, our art director immediately jumped on this and was like, okay, let us get new animators in. And it's really hard finding some, but we found 2 people that were capable of doing it. And together they were able to bring all the animations that we got. Now, some of them were a bit more fishy than others. A lot of them were really good, but some didn't look perfect. And we sadly just didn't have the time to really, because we had a month without animators, we didn't really have the time to perfectly correct everything. So we want to step it up in the animation department. We think now that, we have 2 animators properly worked in, we can probably do a much better job. So that's something to look forward to. And maybe we can introduce more animations over the course of this as they get more worked in and as we, jam more with them. This is also crazy because this was actually the first update for a new art director. So art director leads all the renderers and makes sure, the art, and he does also the music and stuff, make sure every artsy part of the game is in order. And it was his first full update where he was fleshed on as art director. And it was super scary, but he did a fantastic job, I think. We got the highest ever rating for our renders this update on the feedback survey with, I think, 8.6 out of 10 or something, which we've never gotten before. So that's fantastic. Yeah, it's great to see our art director stepping into these shoes and filling these out. There were some issues, but overall, he's going to have a much easier time now on, his next update. So it's just great seeing people that are like our writer and art director that they come on from last update and they weren't in their final form yet. They weren't fully developed. They were still figuring stuff out and what they're going to be able to do in future updates, in the next upcoming one and everything after that. They're just going to learn and learn and learn as our turnover actually slows down and we get to keep more people and keep them on longer. I think that's really fantastic. So yeah, that's kind of insights into v14 development. That's kind of what went right, what went wrong. Overall, the update was incredibly well perceived, and I'm so happy. It's probably combined with Act 3 Part 2, our 2 most well perceived updates ever. So I'm really happy about that. Like I said, art reached new heights, and it's so cool to see. And you guys mostly love the new game mechanics. So that's really, really great. I know that one of the biggest downfalls was the length, and I thought that was really interesting because the update was technically our longest update ever in terms of lines and in terms of code and blah, blah, blah. But because there was a lot of branching and stuff, you could actually have quite a short experience, compared to others, depending on how much of the game you decided to see. So if you're doing a single playthrough and you're picking all the shorter choices that lead to less events and stuff, you could probably do it in 1/10 of the time than someone who would, try and see everything in a single playthrough. So, some people thought it was really short, and I completely get that. Very much depends on the choices, and it's hard for us to, people want impactful choices, but they also want length, but they also want a speedy development time. And it's not something, we're not able to do everything. We're sadly not superheroes. So we have to make our moments. I like the speedy development time. I like the frequent updates. It helps me with feedback. It helps us learn, whether it's a month or 2 months. We're going to go back to a month for the next one because it's right before winter. So we want to get one out in December because we're going to take, a couple of weeks winter break, probably 2 weeks. But in general, we can't do everything, but I think we're achieving a pretty good mix and balance, obviously. But, people wanting longer updates, I get it. Like I said, you can always play the act as a whole or something like that if you really don't like the format, but it's kind of a good thing. I mean, I wouldn't want you guys to want shorter updates and just be like, oh, this is dragging on, man. This game is so boring. I guess what I'm trying to say is, we're trying our best. So there were a couple of in-game bugs. Patreon is always early access. I had a disclaimer below the thing. Next time I'll put the disclaimer above the download link maybe. Yeah, you guys are in this exclusive Patreon club, and I am so grateful that you're supporting us like this. And with us doing such frequent updates, we're kind of in a tight position because making updates as big as ours means that if we want to release them as frequently as we do, every month or so, means that we don't have time to thoroughly test them. And thoroughly testing, this doesn't mean that we don't spend days testing. We spent the entire update testing every scene. That's not what it's about. But if you want to try every single different save variant and every single different aspect, especially with Ren'Py save, which is really difficult, it takes months. I mean, it would take us a month in testing alone for this update if you guys really wanted like a super clean version. And I personally, as a player, I wouldn't want that. I would rather have the early access version and wait a couple days, because if we do it like this, it allows us to fix the update in a couple of days, because thousands of people playing it allows us to fix updates much faster than 10, 20 beta testers, because saves are so different and they're so unique. So it's really something that it's up to preference. And I get, if you don't like it, please just wait a week after the release and then it'll all be fixed. Just like here, usually on Monday we're done. And usually it's no longer early access after Monday. Usually we fixed all, like 99.9% of the bugs. But I get it. It's frustrating. I need to be more clear about that probably in front of the post. Like, hey, it's Friday. It's release day. There may be some bugs. It's just the way it works. It's really hard for us to test. And we do a lot of testing. And I've played through the game at least, 30, 40 times in the last week before release. And so have all of our hardworking quality assurance team and beta testers. But it's just sometimes, there's things we can't account for. And then the other thing is the launcher. So obviously, if you've looked around the server, a lot of people had issues with the launcher. What's interesting is we have the actual stats for the launcher, so the successful downloads. So the download success rate is 96%. Which is quite crazy because I thought it'd be much lower. Looking at all the feedback, I was like, oh no, are like half of the people having issues? No, actually 96% of downloads are successful on the launcher, which is great to see. There's a 4% fail rate. And 4% with thousands of patrons still means over 100 people. So when you're seeing all these different people having issues, yeah, it's still over 100 people having issues, which is not great. And it's something we're definitely working on. We found a lot of stuff that was like user error that we could have prevented. So there were issues with like if you installed the launcher in your game folder, that caused issues. Or if you, there were complications with Steam. Listen, guys, I don't understand all the technical details. This is just what my launcher guy said. But yeah, so basically there are some issues that can be caused either by user error or by problems on our side. So we're aiming to fix them and we're aiming to make it more clear, where problems can arise and what to do in them. So yeah, really sorry if you were one of the people that had issues with the launcher. We're definitely aiming to do better. I think for everyone that the launcher worked for, it was such a good experience. For me as well, like just being able to, it was so cool when we pushed the hotfix and it was immediately there and people could just download it. It was such a great experience because before it was always so complex getting hotfixes to you guys. And it was so much nicer. So we're committed to the launcher and we're committed to making it work. I understand that it's super frustrating if it doesn't, and it's, with still 100 people having issues. Yes, it's only 4%, but it's still, 100 people that we need to make sure that they get the game. So yeah, sorry about that, but we're doing our best to improve it. Let's move on. Now let's talk about the big patch coming this week. So we're currently figuring out the voice acted sex scene still. Like they're 80, 90% done, but there were some more issues. So we're just figuring those out. Hopefully it still comes this week. And that patch is going to include two things. It's going to include the voice-acted sex scenes for all of the sex scenes of Act 4, Part 1. And then it's going to include the path builder. The path builder, if you hadn't seen, was main menu option. So it's completely optional. You don't need to use it at all. It's kind of like the scene gallery. You can click on it in the main menu, but you don't have to. But it's a main menu option where you can click on it and you can kind of choose, your frats and which frat you want to pick, which KCT you want to have. You can lock your KCT so it doesn't change. And which relationships you want to have, and where do you want to start inside the game. So we're going to do like 3 different starting points, one at the start of Act 2 roundabout, one at the start of Act 3 roundabout, one at the start of Act 4 roundabout. And, so for example, for the start Act 2, it's like right before homecoming. So you can pick your homecoming date as well. And then you start the game, and it basically makes sure that you can replay the choices you want to replay. And you don't have to replay the entire game. You don't just have to skip through the entire game if you don't want to. Just to, play the latest update. And it's especially useful for people that had, like I said, a lot of the bugs, like 90% of the bugs are related to saves. So if you ever face any bug or have an incompatible save, what you can just do is use the path builder, and to play the latest update, you can just jump there with your preferences set. And, starting from a fresh save almost always fixes all the bugs. So it's just a way for us to be much more user-friendly, much more exciting for all the people that want to see all the different things. And especially with College Kings having so many branches and so many choices and so many impactful changes, that is a way for you to experience all of that. So that's really exciting. We kind of came up with it quite recently. I was playing around with this idea, and after such overwhelmingly positive feedback, and yes, it will be absolutely optional, so don't worry about it. You can still start normally, you can still save and load the game normally. It won't change your style at all. It will just be an extra menu option. Then the plans for V15. So V15, so Act 4 Part 2, like I said, coming in December, right before our Christmas break. We're currently working on it. It'll have some more gameplay mechanics that are really cool. It'll continue the planning board stuff. Some faces you missed in Act 4 Part 1 may come back. Who knows? We have some really, really exciting gameplay mechanics. I really can't wait. We've always had the problems in plot where like some scenes didn't feel as good as others, and they're kind of filler scenes. For Act 4 Part 2, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen such a packed update. Like, yes, there aren't as many scenes as in Act 4 Part 1 because we are working on a smaller timeline, but the scenes are just such high quality. Like, oh my God, I can't wait for you guys to play. I'm so excited. I can't wait to play it myself because I get to QI the game before you guys even see it. So I'm really excited. I love toying around with some of the planning board stuff, and I'm so excited to play around with that as well. So that's really cool. We're working on more free roam style sex scenes, and we're currently working on like a system for sex scenes and make. And then this, I can't really describe it right now because we're still working on it. That's not necessarily for V15, but we might make it our next Patreon goal because we just reached the voted sex scenes one. So we have some really cool idea for that. So keep on that. We're going to have some more free roam style sex scenes in V15 as well, hopefully. But yeah, we have a lot of ideas, especially for like, maybe to have more kinks in the game and allow people to choose a bit more freely their sexuality and stuff, like in terms of what they like in bed and what they don't. So that could be really, really cool. But yeah, we'll get to that. That won't be for V15. That will be for the future. So that's coming December, V15. And other plans for the future as well. We have merch coming really soon. We're currently just finalizing the store page, and it'll probably be done by tomorrow. So we might release it over the weekend. I'm not sure yet. We'll either release it over the weekend or at the start of next week. So that's really exciting. So for merch, we'll have hats, we'll have, frat jacket, we'll have t-shirts, mouse pads of Nora and Chloe. But yeah, so really exciting stuff and really, really cool looking stuff. I'm really excited about showing it to you. We'll obviously give you guys discounts on Patreon. I'm not sure yet how much. We'll have to talk about it. Yeah, I don't actually know like the prices of everything yet, but yeah, we'll talk about that. So we're trying to give you guys discounts and everything. So that's going to be really sick. Great way to support the game. Great way to score some merch. And it's all like very subtle. So like the mouse pads are a bit more like the girls, but like the a lot of the t-shirts and the jackets, they're very much like, I wanted something that you can wear outside, and you're not going to be like, oh, I play adult games, like, no. I just wanted something you could casually wear with your friends that looks cool and where you're also supporting the game while doing it and you're kind of just repping it and it looks cool. The new website is currently being coded. The design is finally done. The Patreon hub is currently being designed. So that's really excited. It looks so freaking good, guys. I can't wait. And with the Patreon hub, oh my God, when that's going to be done designing and coded, it's going to be freaking amazing. So I expect the new homepage to be up, I don't know, maybe, a month from now. But then the Patreon hub will still take a while longer because it just started being in design, and it takes a couple of weeks to design a big website like that, especially because we have a really like amazing UI team on it. They've done some of the UI for V14. So for, the planning boards and stuff was done by them. So it looks freaking amazing. And I'm just really excited. They'll also at some point overhaul the main menu of the game because that's a bit old. But, we'll get to that once we have some time and once all of the website and stuff is done. So it looks really amazing, really excited. Then, yeah, we also have an amendment team now. I'll make a poll about, or maybe I'll just ask a survey or something on Patreon, what scenes you guys want to see overhauled. But, you don't worry about it now. I'll make a separate post about it. Especially Act 2 was one of our less well-perceived acts. So on Steam, Act 1 has like 92% positive, Act 3 has like 95% positive, but Act 2 only has like 70% or 69%, I think, which is kind of funny bit. So, we want to amend that, guys, and it's been really hard because we've always wanted to make amendments, but because our development schedule is so grueling, it's really, really difficult. But now with our new amendment team, which has like a writer and a renderer, and if we can make those changes slowly but surely, and just update the game, I think that'd be really nice because, make sure that the Act 2 writing holds up. Like I said, we had so many writer changes and so many issues back then. So making sure that that holds up and making sure that some of the Act 1 renders done by me, all done by me, when I didn't even know what I was doing. So that some of the Act 1 renders are also improved and, maybe have proper lighting and, maybe don't look garbage. But yeah, so that's really nice. And then, last but not least, we just reached our Patreon goal of community voted sex scenes. I still need to figure this out. This was something that I'll do the poll for that, or however we're going to vote on this. I'll probably do it next week. I really need to think about how we want to do this and how to give you guys the most freedom with this without I don't want it to be like voted something and it's like, oh yes, a 7-sum between, all the girls. And it's like, okay, but that would not happen in the game. At least not yet, but it won't, that's just, we can't realistically build the story to be that. So maybe we'll find different ways the story could evolutionize, but I also don't want to spoil it. So I need to think about how best to do it. If you guys have suggestions for how we could do a nice community voted sex scenes where you guys have a lot of impact, but we're not spoiling anything and we're not forcing us to do an unrealistic sex scenes, because this game is as sexy as it is. We've always put story first and we've always made sure that everything feels organic, and I don't want to change that. So just something to think about that we're going to do. But so this has been 26 minutes. I assume it's going to be a bit shorter when all my ums and ms are cut out, but so exciting what's to come. I'm so happy for all of your support, guys. The Patreon grew so much and it's really crazy. It's just so great to see. You can maybe hear my voice. I'm so passionate about CK. I'm so in love with what we're doing. I'm so in love with the team. I'm so in love with all of the support we're getting. I am so excited for what's to come. Trust me, we're all working our asses off, and I'm just super hyped. Thank you guys for making us able to do this, for allowing us to pursue this, and for allowing us to make this game. And have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.